Hello everyone and welcome to Gathering of Gachas, the show that outlived the game it's talking about.
The show that outlived the game that we started talking about, that flagship game, is what we called it, right?
That's a bit of a mouthful.
That is, and then also, we didn't outlive FFPE, it's still going.
For now.
True.
But we also still going.
I guess we all outlived our time playing the games. And speaking of us, who the heck are we? I'm RyBred, here again, Ryan, the RyBred. It's been a while.
It has. I'm Ranakel, and I missed you.
I'm Galen, the sound
thanks.
guy Firestone, and right when I thought I was out, you pulled me back in.
I know. I'm glad. I feel like for weeks, months even, we were like, we'll record this week. Oh, we'll record this week. And then I'm finally here.
Finally, welcome back.
Yeah.
I
thank you.
tried.
I know. I'm pretty sure since my last episode, I've gotten married, I've moved, I've gotten lots happened, definitely.
Yeah.
So cool. I've quit FFPE basically. I mean, I still kind of play. If you look at my login dates, I logged in today. But did I play it? No.
Not really, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
That's a pretty common refrain.
Yeah.
Logging in a game and playing it are two kind of different things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did a little bit of playing during that Christmas event, and I pulled that Neovision dude with the cool dog.
Oh, yeah.
I have no idea who that is.
I saw it going through. I saw the Lotus-themed caster for the Lunar New Year. And the meta change with self-chaining dual units.
Yuck.
Self-chaining dual units. Wow. That's something, isn't it?
That is yucky, is what that is. Just hearing that makes me just what the heck is the
but
point?
at least we also have the New Vision Awakened version of the Esper unit that look like how they should have since the start.
Yes, I noticed that. I was like, why did it just not look like that before? Yeah. But, because it's FFBE, that's why.
Exactly.
It can't.
So that was our episode of Look at what goes through the Twitter feed and spout it back.
Yes.
Pretty much.
No. Let's move back to games we actually play, starting with FFBE War Divisions. Ryan,
War of
take it away.
Divisions. Thank you. Yes, I do play one iteration of the War of Divisions game. Probably the best spin-off of a spin-off. And I'm only saying that because I don't know many other spin-offs of spin-offs, but I digress.
And now I'm going to obsess thinking about spin-offs of spin-offs while you're talking.
Yes.
Instead of paying attention.
And what's going on now is more things that don't necessarily make a lot of sense. We have a Christmas unit going on this week, despite it being...
Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas, everybody! Christmas in
deep
February.
into February.
Man,
yes,
COVID
just
into
March.
put everything back, didn't it?
Yeah.
I feel like
was
that may
it
have been a
COVID?
bad joke, but I'm sticking with it.
Yeah. It was in the Japanese version. It was a 2-part event where they had Christmas Mashuri and Christmas Ramada, if I said that right, Ramada. I don't know how I like to say it.
Yeah, I think that was the first seasonal event they had, and we didn't have it because the game released 3 weeks before that in global.
Yeah, and we did get Christmas Mashuri and Ramada, which was...
Oh, did you know?
Yeah, we did get them on time as well, before Christmas, well before, and I think everyone just thought, okay, we're just going to skip the other 2 units, and that's okay, but I think a lot of people like them better.
They can at least afford that because the power creep is pretty slow in this game.
Yeah, exactly. So I think most of us just thought they'd never come, and but War of Divisions is the gift that keeps on giving, even well after Christmas, and they decided to give them to us anyway. So we got...
Look, okay, go ahead.
Oh yeah, we got winter versions of Viktora and winter version of Vinera.
Which means that for those similarly inclined, it also counts as a Valentine's event, so it's okay.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah, in fact, one might interpret Vinera's red Santa gown as perhaps a Valentine's red riding gown or something of the sort.
Yeah, exactly, which is very nice until you remember what happens to her beloved.
Oh,
I assume there's miserable death and betrayal somewhere in there?
Yes, to both.
Okay.
Exactly.
That sounds about right.
You couldn't be more spot on.
Yes.
It's called War of the X. It takes a lot of Matsudo influence. And yeah, you're talking about it as though bad things happen. And I'm like, I have a feeling I know what.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
She betrays her own home to save a guy who dies from a sickness like 5 minutes later.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was pretty
Happy
hilarious.
Valentine's.
She's like, we only did this to kill you. And then she's like, but wait, I love you, actually. I'll save you. He's like, but I'm dying anyway. I'm sick.
Let me use the final part of my MR level Spellblade powers.
Yes. Yeah. And I was finally building my regular Vinera, and then I decided, okay, well, I'm not going to. So, something I think is interesting about these units is they always make their new versions completely different jobs, right? So we had
and elements.
And elements, yes. Viktora was a ice elemental dragoon or lancer, I forget which one exactly. They're basically the same.
The one with the pokey bit.
Yeah, she's got a little pokey thing, and she jumps on people. And so her winter
she was
version,
the Valkyrie, and it was of Glashella who was the Valkyrie.
Right. Yes. Water is for her. So anyway, now she is a sniper, which basically in this case she uses a bow and arrow, and she's water element. I do have to ask myself, do they just roll a dice or a die to determine what what weapon and element the unit's going to be on their change? Because there's really no method to it. Yeah.
They sure do.
I'm pretty sure they do. Yeah, but so she's pretty cool. I mean, and with that, the week 1 event is very much geared towards Viktora, as the event is Platinum Bow, which of course she uses a bow, so you have that. And then you have Winter Vinera. She is a pugilist, which is another version of the monk sub job.
Pugilist.
Monk job, sorry.
Yeah.
What?
The G is soft. Pugilist.
Pugilist. See, my pronunciation gets me into trouble. It's not a Gathering of Gachas episodes if I don't horribly mispronounce at least something, right?
She's a punchy person.
Yeah, she's a punchy person. We will call her that. And in fact, the event came right after a very good fist weapon ends. So that's cool. And I had no plans on using fist unit.
As someone who tried to give a Shiza for the longest time, the existing fist weapons in the game at the time all were terrible.
Yeah.
They were all bad. So glad they added a good one. But you said before the show, I believe, that you got Christmas Vinera on accident.
Yes, I did. So,
how did that happen?
Yes. So,
I'm not blaming you. I also got units on accident.
I remember the Fravia story, yeah.
Yeah, good times. So, I decided, I've been saving a good amount of Vizior for the Final Fantasy X event, and then I saw that they did have the 6,000 Vizior paid banner for guaranteed of the unit. Guaranteed, they have separate banners for each one, right? So say I've got a decent amount saved here. I'm 6,000. They were giving a ton of free shards, just a ton.
Honestly, as far as Whalebait go, if you can guarantee a thing,
that's fine. And then if you spend another $1 a day, you would total another 60 shards. So spend $1 a day. That's not much. Then they had the bingo board. So, I mean, we're talking about a good couple hundred. I mean, I think more than that. I think just and then the free logins give you 120. I'm sorry. So
I'm glad they're upping the guaranteed trials for the time-limited units.
So basically, with very minimal Visior, you can max out one of the units. So I said, okay, I'm going to go with I want more ranged units. The bow events here. Let's get Viktora. So I pull on the first step and the second step. And, of course, nothing good, but I'm waiting till the end. I don't care. So then right as I'm about to hit that pull on that third one to get my guaranteed Viktora, I see something terribly wrong. Vinera is staring at me. So I did the whole step up and pulled on the wrong one. So I got a guaranteed
in for a penny, in for a pound.
Yeah. So, of course, what do you think I have to do after that, right? Well, I don't have any more paid Visior after that. So I just have to then... I have to get Viktora now, right? That's who I wanted in the first place. So I pulled on just a regular banner. And interestingly, it took I got her after about 20,000 Visior without ever maxing the pity gauge. I'm still at 80% because I kept pulling UR units and vision cards, including 2 more Vineras.
Oh my god.
So now I'm like at this point where I'm like, okay, I got so many free shards of Vinera, I pulled her. I guess I have to max her too.
Might as well.
That is...
Yeah. So I've still got about 12,000 of my 40,000 total Visior. So not terrible, and I have enough to... They're not maxed yet, but when I get all of their free shards, they will all be maxed. Both of them.
And then you'll look at the FF10 banner and you'll hear in the distance as you never pull for the units you want.
I know.
And I know you're an FF10 fan. We've talked about our difference of opinion on this one.
Yes, I really want Orin. The only reason I want to pull for Yuna is just because she's like the best unit in the game.
Okay. Is it
of course,
is it boring summoner Yuna or cool gunner Yuna?
Yeah, Tidus is free.
Yeah.
Well, good. He's trash. So give it away for free. That's fine.
What was that, Galen?
Tidus is trash. Give him away for free. That's fine.
Yeah. I'm not a big Tidus fan, but I'm a fan of just most of the game in general. A very big Orin fan.
Orin's awesome. He's too good for that game. 3.
Yeah. He makes that. If Orin wasn't in 10, it would probably be garbage. I'll just say that.
Yeah, he
bottom tier.
He goes a long way to making that game at least playable for me, unlike 15, which never met that threshold.
Yeah.
A pretty common sentiment is that the better game would have been following the journey of Owen and Breastcap.
I always say I don't understand why they haven't made a prequel yet.
Yeah.
That would be such a good game.
I've heard rumblings them talking about going back to FF10 a few times now. Nothing concrete, but I've heard it come up.
So much. They should have done that instead of 10 too. Don't at me.
I disagree. I actually like 10 too. I think there's a good place for it.
It was good, but if I think we could have gotten a lot more from a prequel, but
nothing says we can't do that too. It's not like they stopped making FF10 games or something, or FF7 games, excuse me. Why did I say FF10 there? That's the whole thing we're talking about.
Yeah, well, it could happen.
Yeah, I remember there was some like really bad sequel novel that came out.
Really? Yes.
Yeah, and I heard it was like basically bad fan fiction.
Assume it doesn't exist. And live a life.
Yeah, I'm gonna assume that because sounds weird.
It's not.
It involves an exploding blitzball.
Oh boy!
I don't know. That actually sounds like that could be entertaining in all the wrong ways. Admittedly, but entertaining at least.
Yes. So Gachas, am I right?
Yeah. But you didn't answer my question before. Is it boring summoner Yuna or cool gunner Yuna?
Boring summoner Yuna, of course. But she's a top tier white mage. And I mean, we're still a year into the game, and basically the best pure white mage is still Ayaka. Many people use the Hallow Leela and Eldyra, which are calculators, if I'm remembering their job correctly, as mages, but they don't have raise.
Arithmetician, I believe.
Yeah, I believe Yuna even gets re-raise, right? If I'm remembering correctly, which is, that's big re-raise man.
Also, I like to think that there is a chance for future reruns of FF10 event that will eventually get Gunner Yuna because double Gunner is literally a job in the game.
Yeah, that's
Isn't
what I
it
was
one of
thinking.
the
It's
first
possible.
jobs either?
Is it one of
should be.
Yuna's? That'd be good if it was.
I'm going to check in silence while you continue covering the game.
Nice. Yeah. Well, so that was one. I'll call it a good thing. I mean, I think the event was good enough to break my not pulling for a long time. The units aren't top tier, but anyway, so that I'll call good. One bad that I'm experiencing is there's a bug right now where the game crashes like all the time for Samsung users. I think there
That's a
might be
problem.
more, but from what I'm seeing, it mostly affects Samsung users, which are me now. I went from LG to Samsung because I was too impatient when I upgraded my phone to wait for a new one. So, yeah, sometimes it'll just crash on me, 10 times in a row when I try to do a hard quest.
Nice.
Or
Yeah,
as
that's
soon
a
as I
problem.
hit the main menu, crash. So it's very annoying. I wish that they would find a way to fix that, like now.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, so that's one annoying thing. Since
I've
yeah.
checked. So first off, Yuna unfortunately doesn't have double gunner as a subjob, which is an objective mistake.
I agree completely.
And second, I'm enormously amused by how the tier list has, as they were before, D, C, B, A, and S tier, and then there's SS tier, SSS tier, and SSSS tier, which only has one unit in it, which is Yuna.
I have
Oh, man.
many problems with everything you just said.
Yes. Oron and Tidus are both in SS tier.
They definitely need to fix that tier.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. They could at least like do it like exponent, like S quad, S cubed.
No, they
Well,
I don't
really.
know.
technically,
Even that
they
If you're
have
up to that
it
many
in one
S's, you're
S.
defeating the purpose of the whole like class system
Right?
at the first place. Now you're just
Yeah.
creating a bunch of extra levels instead of going like, all right, here's the new S tier, and everyone else moves down one.
S's should cap at 3, and that's only if the S's mean smoking stick style.
Oh man, that's good.
It's one
Speaking-
for the DMC fans.
Yeah,
I appreciate. I do.
yeah, I like that.
I still have yet to play the Nero DLC of 5. I need not Nero, sorry, Virgil.
Virgil.
Nice.
Yeah, same.
Nero was in 5. He was really good in 5.
Yeah.
5 was
Nice.
a really good game.
I gotta play it.
Yes, you do.
Yeah. Anyway, back to talking about tiers and metas. So, man, I almost wonder if it was my last episode where we talked about Frivia. I feel like it may have even been that long since I've recorded with y'all.
That could be, yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, speaking of global exclusives, we have everybody's favorite 3-star Dark Knight from FFBE, Duane, not The Rock, just Duane, who
Yes.
continues the dark meta in War of the Visions right now.
Unlike the work meta, which is purely work elemental.
Yes. So, I mean, we've already had the dark meta, especially Duane came immediately after Kane, so now we just get all these funny jokes of the Duane and Kane bros. But he basically kind of gave it even more strength to compete with Yuna, who's coming soon as a light unit, and Sakura, who also just got here, everybody's favorite eternal child from FFBE's original.
And late elemental instead of lightning elemental.
Yes.
Which
Yeah,
makes
light
absolutely no
elemental,
sense.
which is weird. Although she does have the thunder spell, so
Yeah.
cool, I guess.
Oh, well, everything is pardoned then.
Yeah, Veritas of the Bolt.
Doesn't-
Light is the other sister. They got that
Yeah.
one wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I would have appreciated Citra in the game.
Same.
It was great.
Yeah.
Except when she murders people.
Yeah,
Well,
which happens, but I mean,
Yeah.
tragic.
I mean, Who hasn't murdered anyone, really?
In a video game, like, basically no one alive.
She does make an appearance.
In a video game.
I'm sure she does, and I'm sure that appearance is completely useless.
Kind of.
Yep, called
funny.
it. I know how these writers are.
Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah. I won't spoil it on that. So Duane, so Frivia, she kind of, she has utility, but she's nowhere near a top tier unit. She's really good. I think people find her use later, but Duane is very, very good. As a Dark Knight, he can actually be used somewhat as a tank. He doesn't have any active hate gathering skill to tank, but he actually has a passive that makes him start the battle off with hate. So it's kind of cool. He can get hate. He can take some hits.
Yeah,
he's got decent defense. I mean, not as much as probably like a Warrior of Light and Engelbert, but he can take a decent amount of hits.
I assume he has a life draining skill.
The only life draining skill he has, though, is his limit burst. Yeah, which is a little surprising to me. But he actually acts as a pretty decent breaker. So he breaks dark resistance, he breaks attack and magic, but probably his best move you can use is his darkness move, which luckily doesn't drain his HP either. But what it does, it's one of those little AoE moves that has the little, you have the center and then I don't know how the heck to explain. Like little plus sign style.
Okay. So
targeting.
it goes in the cardinal directions.
Yes. And it has a chance of disabling. So again, for guild battles, he is just top tier. He's got that disable move. You throw on Aziza's TMR. He could take a few hits, get some hate over to him. Oh man, he's like super strong. I mean, his attack is top of the game, better than Orlando. Can reach about Kane's, so he can deal out some major damage, take a few hits, disable. Just a really good unit overall.
Big old numbers in your face.
Oh yeah, big old numbers.
Straightforward, but that works.
Yes, and then being dark, he can even take down Engelberts and Warrior of Lights decently easy compared to others. So yeah, real good guy. So he's in my guild team. I also had a decent amount of resources. I just started saving for 10 and I was like, well, guess I gotta get Duane because he's really good. And that was the first time. Remember how much I complained about how unlucky I get? It only took me like 2 pulls to get him. That was my first time I finally got lucky on it. So yeah, good times.
Congrats.
Yeah, good times on that. I guess
Let's hope before FF10 comes, there's not another banner that's full of super shiny stuff.
Oh, I know. Well, I'm tapped out. I can't do anything until then. We'll even see how it goes with 10. I'm gonna really have to consider not getting Orin because I kind of have to get Yuna, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out.
We will see.
Yes. We could talk about the March tokens, or we could just end this segment.
I'm interested about the token system.
Yes. So there is this token system now, right? And
all right.
Yes.
So we've had the monthly missions that are things like clear this many story events, clear this many hard quests.
With pretty boring rewards.
Yeah, very boring rewards. So they basically have a duplicated system of this, but you get tokens with these rewards, and those tokens can be used to do things like enhance the amount of experience your espers get when you're enhancing them, or vision cards, or give you a better chance for higher success rate.
Chance of critical success with those.
Right, yeah. So you have that. So apparently they gave us some for free for February, and then all of the ones that we're getting now are March tokens, so I'm not sure what that means.
We were recording on the 23rd of February, by the way.
Yes, they're March.
22nd for some of us.
I almost put in a ticket because, of course, I didn't look at... They're actually called March tokens anyway, and I didn't notice. But it's kind of weird, like... So I'm going to start March off with all of these tokens to already use. Cool. I mean, I'll take it, but interesting.
I wouldn't be arguing. for me.
Yeah.
And I overall like the passive effect for things like EXP boosts or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It reminds me a bit of the Kodama system in Neo 2, actually. Where essentially you have these little green spirits you can guide back to the altar, and then you can choose one of 5 blessings, which gives you things like increased chance to drop healing items, increased chance to drop equipment, etc. And for every one of a certain type that you get 5% more chance to have a boost to these drops. So that's a nice way to kind of focus and reward you for exploring already explored areas.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a loose parallel, but point being,
works.
I like the idea of getting some passive improvements to certain areas of the game. Lets you customize and focus. This month I'm going to go ham on espers, and this one I'm going to go ham on characters.
Yeah, it is. It's great. I mean, overall, as we're coming into that year anniversary of War of the Visions, I do really like the game. It's the story's good. I mean, overall, there's always good and bad. Yeah, story. As long as you like betrayals every chapter, the story's good. Betrayals and betrayals of betrayals. It's like betrayalception, man. It's crazy.
Exactly. Oh yeah, no, totally.
Yeah. No, the good part, it's very grindy, but the good thing for me about it is, you can auto most of it, so I've just got it going all day while I'm working. And just minimal looking at my phone occasionally and make sure everything is still functioning, and I'm good. Oh, except now it looks like it just crashed on me, speaking of which.
Well then, while you recover from that, shall we move on to our next game?
Let's do it.
Arknights?
Okay, so a couple interesting things happened. One, we just completed our newest contingency contract, Operation Blade. This put us up against...
I see like Xenoblade fans too.
This put up against recurring boss Faust. And Faust is definitely a different animal than Crownslayer was back in Operation Pyrite. Basically, Faust is a constant source of AoE damage to your ranged. He's a sniper who remains hidden with an impenetrable stealth for X amount of time, where he just stands in the back and shoots the last person you deployed, which is the standard turn order mechanic. He will also, in many cases, deploy extra turrets along the stage to add to, the amount of damage your units take. There are certain vented levels vented tiles that for some reason you deploy a unit on there, they're invisible. They can't get hit by ranged attacks. But then there's also these radar guys who can show up and nullify that effect. So it becomes this race to take down the guys or just build a defensive line so that your ranged guys aren't getting hit that hard.
So basically this boss is the one saying screw you in particular.
Yes and no. Like, the thing is, that sounds awfully complicated, but he wasn't nearly as much of a problem as Crownslayer was. Crownslayer is rush to the exit, break through all your guys, and without even damaging them, just teleport through them, and then not even, and then just go to the exit and instantly fail the stage. Like, so you had to take her down with, like, stuns, slows, all sorts of debuff nonsense. Faust is just a survival game, so if you have decent tanks or people with decent hit points, you're probably not going to be in that much trouble unless you take the contracts that ramp up his attack to incredible degrees. I generally found the Risk 18 on this one much easier than Risk 18 on Pyrite as a result of that.
Good.
He was a constant source of damage, but that could be dealt with a lot easier than someone just rushing to the exit and ending the stage prematurely by doing that.
Yeah, because I remember Pyrite sounded pretty hard, right?
Pyrite was the hardest one yet, I think. I think Pyrite was the hardest one. This one was okay. The primary reward for it was a new character named Scene, who is a summon supporter. Like all cases with contingency contract shops, she remains in the contingency contract shop even after the end of the contingency contract. So if you want to buy her with next contingency contracts tokens, you absolutely can.
Good.
This is the same as the prior contingency contract welfare unit, Bibik. Scene is a summon supporter whose summons can actually block, and as it turns out, she's actually really good for what's coming up later this week, which is integrated strategy. She's one of the 2 units that I've been building up. And I'll talk about integrated strategies in a bit. Scene is actually fairly important to build up, especially if you're new to summon supporters. She's a lot less complicated than some of the longer-term stalwarts like Magellan or Mayer. She just is a much smoother ride in that regard. So she's good to train you in how to use them.
Nice.
Other than that, yeah, contingency contract came and went. It was fun. The music wasn't as good. The boss wasn't as good. The best thing about it is the welfare unit. Yay, it's over. Contingency contracts are stressful. As a personal note, some crazy person used one of my units on a risk 29 for some inexplicable reason. I assume this was Ceobe, because Ceobe was apparently one of these like high-risk strat people, and I had her up just borderline arbitrarily. But, hey, it worked out.
Remind me, after a certain point, you don't get much benefit from higher risk, right?
After 19, you don't get any. Yeah, 19 is the highest you get any benefit from. Anything after that is just swag.
Pure flex, then.
We are having some interesting things coming up this week. Starting on the 25th, we have 2 new events at the same time, and this was the same as it was in Hong Kong. We have the newest summer event, summer in February, Great Chief Gavial,
what
which is
even is a date anymore?
I know, right?
You know what? No, that one's a Valentine's event too.
Yeah.
I declared it. Boom.
Fair enough.
Everything is Valentine's until proven otherwise.
Everything is Valentine's until proven otherwise. I agree.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yes, we have our episode title.
There we are. This one has the welfare operator Tomimi, who is a single target caster on paper, but her skill has her drop her staff and just start smacking things in the face, so take that with a grain of salt.
I'm a caster, but...
Yeah, pretty much. So she's quite good at punching things. From what I heard, she doesn't get a whole lot of use in the meta, but meta's for wimps in this game. Just have fun if you think that a caster who no longer wishes to be a caster is fun. Go ahead and check her out. The banner attached to this, however, is very interesting. This gives us Eunectes, who is our first duelist defender. Now, we've talked about duelist guards before. Scotty's a big example of that. And the duelist defender kind of works ostensibly the same way. She has a block of 1, which is weird for a defender. Usually they have a block of 3 or above. But she's actually, like, super well itemized. If she's over 50, or itemized, like she has items. If she's over 50% hit points, her attack is increased by a whopping 50%. If she's under 50% hit points, it's her defense that gets increased instead. Her skills kind of play around with that. I believe she has an SP battery attached, but don't quote me on that. But the real thing about her is her S3, the first example of Summon Mecha. And basically that turns her temporarily from a defender into a guard a la, what's her name? Blaze. Just here, now I have extended range and a bunch of attack and can hit multiple enemies at once. In that regard, it's actually very similar to Hoshiguma. The thing is, with Eunectes stats being what they are, Hoshiguma can't really tank huge bosses like Patriot. Eunectes can solo Patriot under the right circumstances. So, it makes her essentially specifically set for anti-boss maneuvers. She's not anti-swarm like a lot of defenders are. And obviously this makes her a potentially different choice to someone like Scotty or to someone like Helliger, who's a block 1, in that she is a defender, so any stage that restricts guards can bring a defender. She uses different chips. She is affected by different buffs, like Neon's or Hoshiguma's passive buffs to defenders, so on and so forth. It's a mechanical difference, but it's one that I think will bear out, especially, again, if guards are restricted or otherwise impractical, and you really need a block 1 anti-boss guard. Eunectes is a great option for that, just because she essentially does the same job as a different class. Yeah, Eunectes also apparently forms a real power team with Mudrock and Blemishine, the other 2 new 6-star defenders who are coming up. So, yeah, all told, she's a very niche pull. She isn't really meta, again, putting that in deep quotes, but, like, seriously, she's exactly the sort of weird, quirky unit that I'm absolutely in love with in this game, so I'm going to be pulling for her. I love units who do weird things like this.
And I'm happy they keep making those.
Me too. I'm very much not on a meta train anymore, especially in Arknights where the meta's a joke, but, and that actually brings me to Integrated Strategies, which is a roguelike event where it actually runs on a semi-draft system, so you can feasibly get characters for Integrated Strategies that you cannot get normally, or you don't actually have in your inventory. They'll have fixed stats, and you won't be able to use them at whatever power level you have your actual units at, but you can still try them out.
Okay. When you say characters that aren't in your selection, there's still characters that are recruitable in normal situations.
In 4 cases,
even if we have different stats, right?
There are 4 units in Integrated Strategies who are unique only to Integrated Strategies and are not recruitable in any shape, form, or fashion for your regular team.
Is one of them Big Bob?
Sadly, no. They're all actual operators.
Moving on to Genshin Impact.
Damn it!
Oh, that's good.
God, even Ran is on the Big Bob train. I appreciate the love for Big Bob. I do.
Big Bob.
Oh, we love Big Bob around here. He's the man.
Yeah. Big Bob's the best.
I want him as a unit so bad.
I don't know, but he sounds.
Yes,
I've never seen him, but he sounds
real
cool.
4 units are.
Yeah, the units are generic units, honestly, and I think they're mostly meant for new players. They're not particularly good, but they do exist. They are new, they have unique art, unique sprites. No, Big Bob, sadly, is not one of the characters you can get. If they teased us with, like, Big Bob or Frost Nova or one of these, like, boss units that we should theoretically be able to have on our team, but they refuse to let us have, I would have been... I think the fans would have absolutely rioted at that point.
Yeah. Positively for once.
Yes. Although, to be perfectly honest, the Arknights fans tend to be fairly chill, mostly because the game tends to treat us with respect. The one thing... I may as well talk about this now. There was one thing that we thought might lead to a riot. And that was the fallout, quote-unquote, from the, quote-unquote, Thorns mistake. So as I explained last time I was on the show, Thorns was added to the banner during a rerun event, where there was no real way to earn new currency if you were a veteran player to try to pull for him. Now in Hong Kong, they solved this by extending the length of time of the banner, repeating the banner later, and then giving us a free 10 pull. Now, in the global version, the events got rearranged, but Thorns still appeared first at the banner at the same time during the Heart of Surging Flame / Obsidian Festival, whatever you want to call it, event. Technically creating the same problem, but we also had the extended banners already and all the other stuff they gave us anyway. We were a little concerned they wouldn't give us the free 10 pull, but hey, guess what? Last week they announced the free 10 pull. No riot. Riot averted. They framed it, instead of as an apology for Thorns, they framed it as a 10 million download celebration, but yeah, it's like, okay.
They could put away, what's the equivalent of...
10 pool is a 10 pool.
What's the equivalent of a Gugnir in this game, in Arknights?
There really isn't one. As I said, we don't riot very much. The Arknights fans are very chill, because again, the developers have made a habit of treating us with respect.
Yeah, that's
like,
good.
Thorns was the one time there was maybe a problem, and even that was kind of down to bad foresight on their part, and they apologized for it. They gave us the banner rerun plus the free 10, plus they said they'd never do it again, and they haven't.
Good.
So they've kept that promise. Like,
nice.
All I'm saying is that you should Riot for Big Bob.
we probably should Riot for Big Bob, and if they made Big Bob a playable unit in integrated strategies and not in the real game, yeah, that probably would have been cause for a riot, because damn it, I want Big Bob. And he's always been this just, like, positive presence throughout the game. Every time he shows up, even if he is technically an antagonist, there's a hard asterisk after that one. Yeah. He's always, like, he lights up the screen whenever he shows up. Because he's always jovial, always friendly, always reasonable, and yeah, even if he does have to apply a chainsaw to you, generally speaking, there isn't that much malice there.
Like, it's a period where other games have shown how much people can get behind the Dark Horse fan favorite.
Yeah.
That's how the gatekeeper from Fire Emblem Three Houses, which is nameless, has been voted number 2 in... number 1 in the most wanted characters at a poll in Fire Emblem Heroes.
Yeah, which is actually kind of funny, because according to Josie Asia, that guy is terrible at his job.
Oh, yeah. Like, he doesn't keep much, but he does it with a nice, cheerful tone.
Yeah.
And I love him personally as well. But sorry for this little digression for
no problem.
Fire Emblem
Hey,
Heroes.
we got a little Fire Emblem Heroes talking here too. Yay!
Looking forward to talking more about it. Hopefully when Kite is able to at some point.
That'd be great.
We'll keep you up to date on that.
Anyway, where was I with integrated strategies? We got so sidetracked. Anyway,
yes.
So there's a couple of very interesting units who actually make a very big impact. But the point of integrated strategies is because things are random, it kind of promotes what I honestly consider to be the driving force behind Arknights, which is you kind of want to develop everybody and see how they play. And especially in integrated strategies, because it is such a wacky event by comparison to everything else we've had so far, even Contingency Contract, that's a case where characters you normally wouldn't give much of a look to, like Scene, like another character I'm developing right now. I'm kind of holding back for my own stream because it's kind of a secret.
Nice.
Who, like, this is not a character I would have ever thought of. This character was at E1-1, at skill level 1, basically, essentially undeveloped outside of the initial get this person to E1 promotion. Now I'm already getting ready to put her at Elite 2, and I got her to skill level 7. I'm starting to trust farm with her and be, like, ready to bring the hurt, because apparently she is incredible for this particular event, just because of how this event is designed. So, you know, you bring up Eunectes being these weird, quirky units that Arknights is so good at bringing into play, where it's not just, hey, look, another heavy defender who plays exactly the same way as our last heavy defender but has higher stats, which is a plague amongst gachas. Everyone kind of has their own little use and own little niche, which is, again, a design philosophy I absolutely adore. There's so few, like, genuinely bad characters in this game.
I like that.
Yeah, I can think of 3. 3 actually, like, not good characters.
Like Eileen in War of Divisions. But that's rare.
That makes me sad. I like her so much as a character.
Yes.
Maybe we'll get a cooler one later.
I hope. You want to talk about lighting up the screen every time she shows up? Every time she showed up in FFBE's story, it made me happy. She was just always so cool.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, now that I'm done reminiscing about FFBE, back to the main point. So yeah, integrated strategies is going to be very interesting. Now, another thing with integrated strategies is any player can absolutely, if they're willing to just fail over and over again, end up eventually with every reward. The thing you're actually playing for is story. And in order to get the final story scene, you have to beat normal or hard twice. So if you want just the shop rewards, which are fairly significant, you can literally just go in with a bunch of nothing, lose over and over again, and just scroll your way up in the points until you get there.
Accessible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So even a new player can absolutely get all the shop rewards. You're just not going to get all the lore stuff.
You do have to spend sanity, though, I suppose.
No, 0 sanity.
Oh.
Gavial the Great Chief, that one does have sanity, but that's a standard story event. There's nothing really new there.
Okay.
Integrated strategies, much like Contingency contract, only costs time and willingness to look at your phone.
Good. I'm liking what I'm hearing.
Yeah. No, it's a very cool event. So far, there hasn't been a second integrated strategies yet in Hong Kong, but the running line on that one is because there's 30 new maps on this thing, and they're really hard to do. If you did it over and over again, it would start feeling very samey. That's kind of a problem that Contingency Contract actually has, because it really only adds 1 or 2 new maps per thing, and they just add different challenges. So they're kind of holding it back. It wouldn't surprise me if Hong Kong gets a second integrated strategies pretty soon. This is our first. I'm looking forward to it. We will see what happens.
Yeah, sounds like a good kind of event to run every now and then.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I even heard the boss rush was back finally.
Boss rush, yes. I haven't done it, but I've seen people post it. It's like hard for once, though. Because, I mean, when I'd been doing them, it was just go one-shot this guy and get your rewards, you know? But I'm seeing, just because I'm still in the a lot of the groups, I just don't really participate, so I'll see it in my feed come up sometimes, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, that's just about all I can really say about Arknights. I'm looking forward to the new banner. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't talk about the lower rarity units.
No.
Acid Drop, I don't know anything about, but the 5-star is Flint, a new brawler guard. Brawler guards tend to have lower attack, but absurd attack speed.
Oh.
They are block 1 guards who... They're hard to use, I gotta be honest. The only one I've had any success really using is Indra, and that's because she's even quirkier than usual, because she has a self-heal and arts damage attached, because why not?
Might as well.
In Acid Drop's case...
the people that filter through a lot of unique and then go punch, next. Punch, next.
Yeah, basically that's the plan. In Flint's case... Flint has a talent which actually grants her attack bonus damage to enemies she is not blocking, and then her skill 2 makes her block 0, so she can't block anymore.
Okay.
Ramps up her attack speed even further, and then adds a slow effect to all of her attacks.
Okay.
Interesting.
So yeah, it basically means she beats the snot out of a single unit, slows them down, and keeps them in her attack range. I'm not necessarily sure how useful this is going to be, especially compared to Indra, who obviously those two are the comparison, and I kind of feel like Indra's probably going to do better against the sort of things you deploy a block 1 guard against. But, and I would argue more versatile, because Indra can do arts damage and Flint cannot. But Flint does appear really cool. I'm sure people are going to come up with weird strategies about her.
Is fun.
And yeah, that about covers it. That's about all I got for Arknights, I think.
Arknights.
Oh, thanks. I missed that.
I got the real button right here.
Did you know?
I got the real one here, but
don't make me edit that.
I'm holding back.
Don't make me do it. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Later. I have to do it when no one's expecting it. Just playing. I'll give you fair warning, but I'll also do it when you're not expecting, you know? Because I don't want to make somebody poop themselves.
Yeah. So what you mean by warning is a threat, right?
You won't know when it's coming, but it's coming.
Genshin Impact.
Genshin Impact.
Genshin Impact. So,
Game I've heard a lot of good stuff about, but never played.
indeed.
Yeah.
So, back in the old days, millennia ago, there was a bit of an angry demon monster problem in the UA. That's when Rex Lapis decided to create a set of 5 special murder people that would go around and murder a lot. Demons, but murder still. They were called the Gachas. The problem is that when you murder that much, you get some karmic backlash, which is how one of them just died on the spot. One of them was driven mad and turned evil, and 2 of them murder each other. The last one is our newest banner unit, Xiao.
Alright.
Yeah. So, Xiao is an understandably edgy character.
Okay.
That is an Anemo spear user.
Okay. Say animal spear?
Anemo, that's
Anemo.
wind.
Oh.
Yes, wind elemental.
Right, okay, got it.
They use weird names for things sometimes.
Yeah, makes sense.
They use grapefruit mostly.
Mm-hmm.
So, unlike the other spear users we're having right now, his basic attack chain is these broad strokes and wide arcs, which makes him, even without looking at his abilities, already pretty nice against groups of enemies, rather than the others which are more single target focused.
Right.
So that's already a nice change. And then he's got his cooldown skill, which has 2 charges by default, 3 if you get constellations, which is duplicates.
Right.
And that's just a dash or even an air dash, which is nice for mobility and cool to use and pretty powerful. Also, if you jump high enough, which isn't hard for him, we'll come back to that, you can even use it to essentially melee attack the weak points like the Ruin Guard's Eye.
Alright.
Which normally are only shot by bow and arrow.
Ooh, so we can jump real high. Jump man.
Hey. Well, not by default, but if you use his ultimate, he can. Because that makes him jump way high enough to be able to do plunging attacks. And every single one of his attacks is enhanced. His basic attack become wind elemental. No matter if you have any other effect that imbues him, it's wind. They also get more range and more damage. Okay. His plunging attack also gets way more damage and more range, and is wind elemental as well, with this nice wind/shockwave effect.
Nice.
Overall he turns pretty monstrous. But to compensate, he constantly loses life as long as the ultimate is active. Oh. And it only deactivates by switching characters.
Oh, so
he's hardcore.
Yeah, definitely. Wow.
But honestly, these high-flying, high-speed, very snappy playstyles make me think like he is a very fun character.
Yeah,
not necessarily super top tier, but very fun to play. Didn't pull for him though. I did pull on his banner, but not for him.
Okay.
The thing is that his banner also had 3 pretty solid units at 4-star in Diona, Xinyan, and Beidou. In particular, I wanted more Beidous, so I rolled like 4 times on his banner and got 4 Beidous out of it.
Oh, well, there you go.
Then I used the duplicate currency to purchase the 1 guaranteed Beidou that was in the shop, And so I went from C0 Beidou to C5 Beidou.
That's very tanky from what I understand.
I mean, there is a tanky aspect because she has this counter on a 6-second cooldown, which is very cool and very fun to play with. But her main interest is that her ultimate is great as a support ability to enhance the attacks of somebody else, like say Clay, to make her explosions make explosions on top of explosions.
Explosions on top of explosions?
Yes, because his basic attack is bombs, which explode.
Okay.
And they're fire elemental, and the interaction between fire element and thunder element is explosions.
I like it. I can get behind that, definitely. I mean, the more explosions and fiery lightning stuff, I like.
Exactly. So yeah, Beidou, pretty cool character as well. So I really hope we'll get an event around her at some point. But for now, we just hear about her, and we spend a lot of time with Xiao on the other hand. Through a variety of events, some of them we'll come back to a bit later in this section. But for now, the banner is already gone. So congrats to those who got Xiao or who got who they wanted, which is not necessarily the headliner. Remember, 4-star characters are still very good. Bennett is still one of the best units in the game. And he is on the next banner, which is the Keqing banner. Yes.
That's the sword girl who looks like Texas a little bit, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And who is a cop.
Who is a cop? Okay.
Yep.
That makes me like her a lot less now, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yes. This is our first banner, which has a 5-star unit, but is in the general pool as well. Yeah, Spacebird, that's what I said.
That is?
Keqing is happening right now, Xiao Undead. Anyway.
Nice.
So yes, she is in the general pool, and now she has a focus banner. So if you really like Keqing, you could get to it. Otherwise, I wouldn't recommend going after her, if only because you might get her off banner at some point.
Yeah.
Which is not the case for most of the units.
If I recall correctly, the vast majority of Genshin's new character banners are actually limited banners.
Yes. Which will come back at some point. But for now, it's limited.
Yeah, that's one of my bigger complaints about the game and why I quit it after many reasons why I quit it after 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yes. Perhaps I won't try it out ever then. Sometimes I think about it, but perhaps I won't.
Fun fact, actually, Ryan,
I don't know.
you, in a weird way, were also partially responsible for me quitting that game. I was big into it when I went to go see you in Vegas. And so I had to play it on mobile, because I wasn't playing it on my PC anymore.
Right.
And the mobile controls being as garbage as they were one of the things that made me go, this is not fun for me at all.
I will, I like taking credit for that. I'm with it. I'll take credit for you quitting Genshin.
But anyway, the other units on the banner, however, 2 of them are really good, and one of them is Barbara.
Okay.
The 2 other are Bennett, which is one of the best units in the game at 4-star, and period. And the only 4-star I don't have, but I'm fine with that because he looks dumb.
I think definitely the units play a part in how much I want them. If they look stupid, I don't care how good they are. I'm not getting them.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't care that you can boken that boken to absurd amounts of attack. You look like Rex from Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and I hate you. And the game does it as well. One of his idle animation is literally him getting a work thrown at his head.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they hate him too then, huh?
Speaking of throwing works, Ningguang is the other unit, and also 4-star, and one of the best burst DPS in the game.
Remind me, she's the Earth caster with that, like, giant glass mirror thing, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
And she looks cool on the other hand.
Okay.
But overall, very much a bit of a gamble of a banner, where the 5-star is not necessarily the unit you want. And since it's a focus, if you have, say, 60 pulls since your last 5-star, and you go for it and you pull Keqing, you've used your pity that goes from one banner to the next on a unit you could have gotten off banner.
Oh wow! So you're gonna pull for the 4-star, but you might get pitied on a garbage 5-star. Well, not necessarily garbage,
not
but
garbage.
just one that's
no,
not.
she's
not
actually
good,
pretty
but...
cool and pretty fun. Probably one of the most fun and high action units along with Xiao.
Right. But you can get her from a regular
But you
banner.
can get her off banner. Yes.
Yes.
So don't.
Yeah.
And in the other banners we've also got, there was some weapons banner. One of them had a new spear, which is the one on Xiao's artwork, and it's because it's very good for Xiao, even though it's a generic spear that you can get as a 4-star, as a 5-star off banner or some such. Which is a primordial jade winged spear, which is a mouthful.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's one with high crit, and that powers up after you do a certain amount of auto attack. So it's pretty cool.
Huh. I like that.
And then you also have the primordial jade cutter, which is a sword, which boosts HP and adds a little bit of HP scaling to your attacks.
You just call it
which is
Prime Spear and Prime Cutter.
Pretty much. And it's alright in itself, but there's not really any unit that takes advantage of that. The only one off the top of my head with any sort of HP scaling already in his kit is Bennett, and he doesn't need that to already be pretty busted.
Aw, yeah.
On the other hand, though, that kind of ability would be great on a spear because of Zhongli and because of a unit that's coming up probably pretty soon. Which is exactly what's happening in a weapon banner that will start in a couple of days.
Okay.
We'll have the Staff of Homa, which is this effect, so HP bonus and added HP scaling and added damage when at low HP on a spear. So Zhongli will love it.
Yeah, I was about to say, but yeah, because Zhongli's skills all scale off of his HP for some reason, if I remember right.
Exactly. So he's going to get scaling on top of scaling, and you know what else works very well with the bonus you have while being on low HP? Shields. Like Zhongli's shield, the best in the game.
There you go.
Yeah, and this let's say leads people to suspect, to not say that some of the details were leaked, that the next unit that's going to come up, Hu Tao, will also be a fire elemental spear user with some HP sacrifice abilities and some HP scaling on some of her attacks.
So go HP.
Yeah. Go HP, which is good because most units don't use HP. So that means that if you roll for artifacts with heavy HP involvement, they're not garbage anymore.
Right. Okay. And then it's I kind of like different scaled units like that can do damage, because then you have your like top tier attack weapons, and then you can put all those on one homie, and then you got your HP scaling that you put on another homie unit.
Exactly. And Zhongli sure is my homie.
Yes.
Even though he tends to create murder people that go mad.
That's just we can look past that.
Yeah, we
Yes.
slide that one along, I think.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, then, outside of the banner, we had the Lantern Festival. That's big event number 3. And this one is a seasonal event that should return every year. It's pretty nice visually, because as long during the celebration and a bit over that, the skies around Liyue are filled with these lanterns floating gently in the sky.
Nice.
And it's got this festive mood, and of course, being the side quest hog you help with the festivities in a variety of ways.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not kidding about the side quest, by the way. Over the course of the event, they unlock progressively. There's like 23 side quests.
23.
That's a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a lot. But each of them rewards a little bit of Primogen, so that's okay.
Okay. Do they take a long time to complete?
Not that much. Especially if you only half pay attention. You can get any of them done in like 5 minutes.
Oh, okay. Not terrible.
Yeah. And it helps build up this festival and how everyone is handling it. My only complaint is that while we do see a lot of the various basic NPC from Liyue, we basically don't see any playable characters besides Xiao. Where the side quest for him is basically to convince him to take part of the festivities already, even though he's so grumpy all the time because of all the karmic murder debt.
Mm-hmm. So there's just random people in there, or?
Just some characters created just for the event, and some that were like inconsequential NPCs in the wild. Like there's a poet and a painter that start a rivalry, but then find common ground in making riddles for kids.
Okay.
And you go on the other areas of Liyue. You run around a fair bit. Which is pretty nice as well, because exploration is just a nice part of the game, and some of the side quests are essentially replanting some of the tiny puzzles that were in the wild.
Mm-hmm.
If only as a reminder of the exploration phase of the game, which is the best part of the game.
Nice.
Then we have the main way to get the rewards from the event, the items, the banners, and the select a 4-star unit, which we'll come back to later. So Theater Mechanicus is a minigame that only lasts during the event, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a tower defense game in the game.
Tower defense game in a game.
Yep, you go in a randomly selected arena with a certain path. You have 3 to 10 waves depending on your difficulty level. You plant turrets. You only have a certain amount of turrets you can plant on some nodes. And then monsters come through in waves. You gotta take elemental interactions into account, especially given that your character still can do stuff. They cannot do that damage, but if, say, you throw clear bombs on top of enemies, and then there's electric turrets behind, they're going to explode.
More explosions.
We like those.
Yep. And this also makes one character very OP for this event, which is Jin. Because Jin's specialty is throw his enemy overboard into the void, which is not technically doing damage to them, so it's okay.
Oh. I mean, cool.
That's why there are on some early level a towerless threat for the tower defense.
Oh dear.
But for the later stages where the enemies get too big to get thrown overboard, you want to place some towers and you want to level towers. It's pretty challenging if you go through them at first, but eventually, if you just persist, you get currency from doing the clears of the event, of the Theater Mechanicus, to upgrade your towers, and eventually you can essentially power creep them. So that means it's fine for both casuals and more invested people.
Right on.
Also, it's 3-1 however much you want, so that's nice too. And you get the rewards essentially from achievements. The rewards which translate to actual in-game things like talent materials, crown, and such.
Legit.
And indeed, one of them is a character. Just here's 10,000 of the currency, 1,000 of the currency you get pretty easily, and just pick any 4-star character for Liyue, and there you go, it's yours.
Oh.
Selecting characters is always a good thing, and getting characters for free is always a good thing. So
yes,
both of them together.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Can't go wrong.
Exactly. And there's some pretty good characters in this selection as a result. Like, Shenyan is pretty fun as a physical attacker in particular. Ningguang is good as a burst DPS. Xingqiu is one of the best offensive support in the game. And the others are there too.
The others are there too.
I mean,
actually,
he says that
may
that's
be a
kind of
bit
the thing
mean.
with Genshin. There's a lot of characters in the game now, and they all play differently. It's kind of an action game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it makes... Yeah. I'll talk about this in a bit.
Yeah, but they all have a bit of their own playstyle. Oh yeah, there's Beidou as well, of course, which I've already talked about, and I like her as a support. And she also works in Otherworlds kinda. There's Chongyon, who isn't the most sought after right now, but if you need a cryo imbue, he's probably your best option. And the last one would be Shanling, though you should already have one. But if you already have the units, you can get the constellations, and that's nice too.
Nice.
But yeah, getting more units, good. And to play in the fact that you're probably going to have characters from Liyue, one thing I didn't mention is that there's going to be 2 other weapons added in along with the Staff of Roma, which will bring an interesting synergy, which is that it's going to be a spear and a greatsword,
Okay.
and they have attack as their base secondary stat, but also they get increased attack and crit rate depending on how many characters from Liyue you have in your party, which can reach pretty high level if you have a full Liyue team and some refined. So pretty good options, and at 4 stars, so more accessible.
Ah.
So I also like that they're adding some other considerations to team building, like sure these elemental interaction or synergies are nice, but what about an all Liyue team?
An all what team?
An all Liyue team, Liyue being the
Location.
city
Yeah.
some of those characters are from, yes. Also, they've added a new boss in the game.
New boss. We like those.
Yeah. Yeah, the Primal Geovishap. He's a big old chunk of HP and he hits like a truck. And for now, he brings in talent materials or level up materials for Xiao and only him. But I imagine there's going to be other characters added in the game. To be clear, it's a boss on the level of the cubes and the wedges vine. It's not a boss like Tartaglia and the Valentine and the Wolf.
Okay, I was actually about to ask if it was in that same category of...
No, it's one you can clear however much you want as long as you have 40 energy to get the rewards from.
Okay.
But along with this addition, they've also did something interesting in that they've added them to Spiral Abyss as well, with elemental infusions. And they've added 2 of them at the same time, and they're very good at comboing someone from 100% health to 0 if you're not paying attention.
Nice.
So that's pretty fun too.
Yeah.
Especially given that, unlike the world bosses, which scale with your world level, this one in the Spiral Abyss are just level 100. So, fun times for those that are looking for a way to make use of the newest and shiny units and toys. There's still more options to that. They keep updating the Spiral Abyss. They keep keeping it fresh since it's the most high-end, high-performance content around. It's good that they're giving it continued attention.
Is it also clean?
Yes.
So it is so fresh and so clean.
Nice
I'll see myself out.
Reference. Yeah,
yes.
Okay.
Also, one of my wish has been granted.
Okay.
I've wanted the trailer music from the amazing character trailers for a while now, and they've released it in an album on YouTube.
Awesome.
And Spotify and other places. It's called The Stellar Moment, and it has a variety of themes for characters like Venti, Xinyan, and indeed the theme from Zhongli's trailer, which has been, as a reminder, so well liked that people, before the album came out, recreated it manually just to have it.
Boss.
So, very happy about that. It's 24 minutes. There's some that are pretty forgettable in the middle, but most of the tracks are really solid.
Cool.
Also, in other smaller news, they've announced recently there's going to be a collaboration, but that is China only. And it's with KFC. Hello, Arknights. Sounds familiar?
It does. That does sound familiar.
Okay.
Yep.
KFC? You talking about chicken?
We are talking about chicken.
We sure are talking about chicken. And so you can have a big bucket of KFC wings with Diluc on them.
But are there characters in KFC?
Arknights in China
no.
also got a KFC event and a bunch of costumes that we did not get on our side in global because KFC doesn't have the same power here, weirdly. I have so many questions about this entire nonsense process, but whatever.
Yeah, and we haven't confirmed it's going to be varying global as well or not, given that there's not a global version and a China version, but just a version of the game. Maybe it will be in the code, and there's going to be a black market of KFC bucket codes for that. I don't know.
Wow.
All I know is that the reward makes sense. It's purely cosmetic, of course.
Of course.
And it's wings.
Please.
You eat chicken, you get chicken wings.
But they should be
with
like drumstick wings. That would be legit.
Yes, they should. instead they're just red and white.
What a missed opportunity.
But eat wings, get wings. I'm okay with that in principle.
I guess that's kind of cool, but let me fly around with some damn fried drumsticks. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Plus, Diluc would be the kind of guy who thinks he's so hardcore because he's eating chicken wings that are spicy.
Spicy wings.
Oh, and lastly, I've spent money in the game back again, just the $5 monthly thing, because they've added PayPal, so now I can pay easily and without tax on top of it.
All right.
So, yay for that.
PayPal.
Convenient. Yeah. And given that I've played a couple of months without the monthly addition of Primogems and the likes, and didn't feel stifled, I still pulled on banners and likes. I'm comfortable with doing that.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. And that's pretty much all of the Genshin Impact news for the evening. I believe, you, Ryan, got back into Pokemon Masters EX. So how is it?
Yes. So I have a very, very long segment on Pokemon Masters EX. I played the game. It was at first very boring. Very boring. Everybody knows it. Most boring game ever.
Yeah, of course. That's how it was at first.
Yeah, so bad.
So how did it improve?
Yeah, so they improved it, right, a lot. And so they called it Pokemon Masters again, but EX at the end. And usually when you have an EX, it means a lot. So I tried it out.
Yeah, especially when you write it in a hashtag without proper capitalization. And it sounds very ambiguous.
Yes. So I played it, gave it a chance, and my unbiased analysis is that it's still garbage.
Good. Moving on to the main topic.
On to the main topic. Life after gacha. Since none of us are really playing much gacha anymore, I think basically we went through each of our segments was just the one gacha we're all playing, right?
Yeah, basically we're all mono gacha.
Yeah, I didn't really notice that anymore. On my end, I was in a lot of communities of FFBE for a while, and I love the communities. It's great, but the game itself started to get boring. I'm in some War of the Vision groups, talk about on Discord a little bit, but overall, I'm just really out of this community, period.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I do play Arknights still, and I'm on the Arknights subreddit, but I don't really engage to any significant degree with the community, not like I did with FFB, that's for sure.
Right.
I have my own little insulated tiny community on my Discord as well, but that's about it.
And that's the main thing I'm going for as well, this very podcast. That's my main outlet for talking about gachas. And otherwise, there's other stuff that I enjoy as well.
Yeah. And that kind of leaves me in a weird sort of place when it comes to...
1, 2, 3, go. I'm just playing.
Okay. To be clear on my end, I don't even begrudge the games that I've played. It's just that right now... playing them through Nux was a pain. Updated so my phone so I don't have to play through Nux is kind of a pain as well. So I just go for things that are more convenient, like Genshin Impact's PC client, and I just enjoy other video games as well. And I appreciate the fact that most of them don't have this daily pace, because keeping it with one game is a thing. Keeping it with 3 is a good way to just eventually stop keeping up with it.
It's a lot.
Definitely. Yeah, because of the nature of them, with having like weekly events in it, and you kind of get that like FOMO, right? Like you don't want to miss out, so you got to really just dedicate time you really don't have sometimes to playing it. Whereas you get your nice console games, and you buy the game as the game, man. I mean, my console games can take me a year to beat sometimes, but hey, I didn't miss nothing.
Yeah. Like there are some daily events, for instance, in Neo 2, which I'm playing these days, where there's some hard versions of stages that rotate every day, which add a bit of a daily progression nature to them, since you get some pretty good drop for those, if you want. But if you don't get them, you haven't missed out on much. And like right now, I don't know how reasonable my FFBE team would be, for instance. And I think it's interesting as well that while you are still fond of the people in the communities related to those games, joining them and being active in them kind of take a back step when the game takes a back step as well.
It does.
It shows the synergy between the two.
It does, and thankfully I've been able to maintain my friendships and relationships with people I made through FFBE, like the two of you.
Right.
Indeed.
Real ones stick around.
Darn right.
You know it.
I had, It's also just, as the games take a back seat, and especially this show, I've been able to take a more critical look at the genre as a whole. And as an outsider, there are some conversations which get real wild. I was talking to someone else on another channel about Genshin Impact, and I mentioned some of my problems with it, how I felt that the gacha was largely unfair the way it was designed, at least at the time when I played it. I don't know if they've improved it at all. I found that the gacha actually holds the game back, at least from my estimation, to a fairly significant degree. And I mentioned these complaints to someone who does play Genshin actively, and he came back with the weirdest response. And just like, well, I mean, it's a gacha game, and they never hid the fact that it's a gacha game. So, I mean, you should just be okay with it. And I'm just like, holy shit, dude, how brainwashed could you be? Like, I'm trying to discuss objective complaints about the game, insofar as how I believe the game design is actually impacted, because it is largely a console-style game with gacha elements.
Impacted.
Oh, crying out loud. I'm not doing that right now. I feel that it does affect the game negatively, and he was like, but it's a gacha game, and this is how gacha games work. And I'm like, that's a problem for me, to just be like, oh, so it's okay they have bad design because they're a gacha game and they're supposed to? Like, wait, what? Like, he didn't even try to counteract the argument with, well, this is why I think the balance actually works. He just said, no, it's just a gacha. They never hid the fact that it was a gacha, so accept it. I'm just like, wait, that's not an argument. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And then I'm had to think back.
Playing with how the game is right now, I like it a lot. I do think that it would be, in many ways, a better single-player game than a gacha game.
Yeah,
right.
That was basically the core of my complaint about it, but again, the issue is...
And it's fine to like it as it is, but still to want something different or something better.
Yeah.
Or to talk about what-ifs.
Yeah.
And seeing this guy's mentality about that, just in that one sentence, kind of reminded me of my FFBE days at my worst, when I was willing to forgive all sorts of things that I probably really shouldn't have, just because I was that jacked into it.
Right.
And as someone who has largely stopped playing gachas, and the one I play has been, frankly, deeply respectful of the player base, and very chill, and not very, like, head-pounding, I honestly find myself, kind of almost anthropologically intrigued by gacha culture from an outsider's perspective, while still being aware of what the inside perspective feels like.
Right.
Yeah, and I do like the idea that this very podcast tries its best to bring this perspective to light, because, again, I think the insular nature of a lot of the gacha discussion contributes a lot to getting standards and getting ideals formed in isolation to other standards that might make what you're saying sounds absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I think that it's like a cognitive dissonance. For many people, you can't accept that the game you're playing is just bad when because there a lot of what gets you in the gachas is the addiction factor for many times in the FOMO. There's some parts of the game that undeniably you should be able to admit are just bad. But a lot of people don't want to admit the bad, so they just put a blind eye to anything.
People don't enjoy being wrong.
Yeah. And so
there's a lot of rationalizing that happens.
Yeah, and from the perspective of someone who did realize how wrong he was and took an active step to stop, I can see that a lot more clearly than I used to, which is kind of sad.
And at the same time, I'm kind of happy as a bit of a proof of independence of sorts that the game I'm not actively playing anymore, World Divisions and FFB, I don't begrudge them, and I still think they're fine games.
Yeah.
It's just a nice way to prove to yourself that it's not just dependence or anything.
Definitely.
Because it's not always the case. And there's some good part about these video games, but there's also some parts that are either disputable in general or specifically harmful to you, depending on however you work. And it's important to stay mindful of that. And sometimes taking a step back is the best way to realize that.
I heard that.
And sometimes you take a step back, and things are fine.
Step back, you're good. You get back into it, and okay, and then just or learn from the mistakes that you make when you find these negatives.
And if the game is worth it, it's worth coming back to.
I'd agree with that.
I believe that's a good conclusion point.
So. I like it. It has been fun.
It's not all doom and gloom for once.
Yeah. It's been real.
So, it's been a pleasure as always. Galen,
yes, thank you for having me back.
Thank you for having me back on.
Hopefully we'll do it again soon.
Hopefully.
Thanks to everybody for listening.
As a last note regarding the pace of the podcast, it has been a bit rocky during the transition and a little bit of trouble assembling a team. We're hoping to smooth things out and ideally have another episode in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But for now, this one is in the bag. Thank you all very much for listening, and look forward to more of the game we'll have to hate.
See y'all soon.
See you guys.
That tagline stays.
Yes. Good.